this is Linda
And this is Leslie.
with Let's Talk.
Let's talk, Linda. I heard you got some good news for me
I do.
because you went to the doctor, and that's always some good news, right? And aren't we supposed to look at it like that?
Oh, I hope so. My doctor's appointment is actually tomorrow. But one thing that I wanted to talk about this week, or our topic this week, is our relationships with our doctor and how important it is of our communication with them. So made me think about it, like right now or today, I'm going to write down a list of all the questions I have for him. Like, just want to know this, this, and why, and the results of this, and this, and then record his response or record the conversation, because sometimes we hear certain words and it freezes us, or we hear only half of it and we miss the next step or the important part. So I'm going to do those things, but I don't always do that for every appointment. What do you do when you go to the doctor?
That's a good question. I didn't even think about writing down any questions, which would be a good idea to do, because you're right. When you get in the office, you do have in your mind some things you want to ask, but then you get sidetracked. Either you're talking about something else or you just completely forget. I know usually I just go for routine checkups. I don't normally go outside of that. So when it's a routine checkup, I don't have like a set of questions unless there's something pressing because of maybe age related, or I've heard someone else bring it up. So I should do that. That's a good thought, to have some questions already prepared.
Yeah. How many times do you go to the doctor and then on your way home driving, or as soon as you get home, you're like, oh man, why didn't I ask that?
I know that happens a lot. You're so right. And there's only so much time they have with us. And so you want to get in all that time and all those questions, all those concerns addressed at that time. But then when you leave, you're like, man, you're right, man. I should have said this, or I should have said that. Or you're talking to your spouse and they say, did you ask this? And I'm like, I completely forgot about that. So
yeah. So I like the idea, and I like the different personalities of the doctor. There's some that I've been working with for years, and it's like, hey Linda, how you're doing? You sit down and chat, how's the kids, what's going on, and there's other ones that seem like it's straight to business. Which one do you like better?
I like more of the family type approach. And my doctor was that way too. As soon as, she always remembered me, naturally she would have our chart in front, but she would ask questions based on that, but then ask questions based on our last conversation. So I really love my doctor. She left this practice. She had gotten married, so she left the practice, have a new doctor, and I haven't gone to that doctor yet, but I did like my doctor. She took the time with us, and as a matter of fact, she would pray with us. She said, can I pray with you? And I'm like, sure, absolutely.
So she would pray. I didn't know. Wow, that is.
I know. I thought that was so special. And she would always, and one of the questions on the questionnaire was about your spiritual life. Who do you have in your circle that you trust as someone like that can help you? And one of the questions was, did you have a pastor, a priest, someone that you can go to outside of medical questions or concerns? So I like that. And actually the whole office was very, very kind. And I want to say the majority of the doctors that were there were believers, and they were very supportive of your spiritual walk. So that was nice.
No. I didn't know there's doctors like that. Now, I don't know if I'm the only person, but how do you find a doctor like that? Was it just so happens, or?
It just so happened, yeah, because my provider who I was assigned to based on my insurance plan, that was the particular provider I'd gone to. And when I had selected that doctor, because I wanted a lady doctor, just so happened to be she was a Christian. So, and it just came up as one of the questions on the form is, what do you do to address your spiritual life? And so I said, I might have said, pray. And so the conversation just stemmed from that as she went over the questionnaire. Now, this was my initial visit with her. And she asked about that. And before you knew it, we started talking about our faith, and we talked about the different churches we attended. And it was beautiful. It was absolutely beautiful. And I disclosed some things that were really pressing on my heart, not only physically, but also some questions that I had that affected my emotions. She said, well, Leslie, can I pray for you? Can I pray with you? And it was just beautiful, absolutely beautiful.
Wow, that's amazing to have a doctor in that type of relationship. That's what I
Yeah.
want. I need to want.
Yeah, yeah. She was very, very kind. And I love the fact that she took the time to talk to me about other things aside from just medical.
Yeah.
Um, it was nice. And you don't find that often because you're right. Some of them are right to the business. Like my husband's doctor, his was just, well, he had two. His first one he absolutely loved. He too took the time with his patients, so much so that other patients were waiting in the office. And this was like what he was known to, that all of his clients, if they knew to go to him, they knew that they were going to be in his office for at least 30 minutes. And those that were waiting were going to be waiting for at least an hour. So he always had backup because he took the time with his patients. Then the other doctor that he was assigned to after that one left, he was just straightforward, cut and dry, and he didn't like him because he was accustomed to the one that was more familiar, more warm. So, yeah.
Well, you're trusting this person with your life. I mean, if you really truly think about it, it's like, know me, you know what I mean? Like, really
Yeah.
know me, because I'm saying this hurt, this bothered me, and this is going on. But if they don't take the time to ask all the questions, it might be a simple thing than something else. Or know me enough to know, like, I don't like medicine. Like some people quickly to give a prescription. And I'm like, every time, like, is there anything else I can do first? Like, I'm not,
Exactly.
I don't mind taking it if I have to, but is there anything I can change in my eating habits or anything I
Mhm.
can do first before I jump to that prescription? And I like how a majority of them say, yes, do this. And then I have to do a follow-up, of course, to see if that's working or not. But I like that. I do notice when you go to specialty doctors, as in surgeons or in a special field, they are a little more straightforward. Not all of them, but it seemed like there are more straightforward, especially surgeons. And somebody told me it's because they don't want to be attached. I don't know if they don't have to, but when they
Oh,
do surgery, it's easier for them to not. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
that they can focus on that instead of, and I guess if something go wrong, it's a little bit easier for them to deal with it because they're still human.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't know if that's true in all cases. I don't know if it's true just in the person that, I was talking to, but they were open to tell me that,
Wow. Yes.
because I was getting a second opinion, and I was like, well, I really didn't like my first opinion because he was blah blah blah, what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and the guy was like, well, let me explain. This is kind of what, and I'm like, oh, but he wasn't like that, and he's a
Yeah.
surgeon too, so it's kind of like we to a certain level. So we have to remember they're human too. They
Mhm.
could have just had a bad day. They could have had a bad patient before us. They could
Yeah.
have had somebody pass away.
Yeah.
They can have issues at home with their spouse or with their children. And we have to know that. And sometimes I wish I'd be like, can I just make a new appointment? If that's one of the issues.
Can I come back? Yeah. Yeah.
So, so I it made me think of that of that process, like
Yeah.
really knowing them. And I think knowing the nurse makes a big difference too. I
Yeah.
noticed that, of how you call and make an appointment. I had so many different appointments. They kind of knew my voice, and they said it's something I say to like figure out it's me. And I don't know if it's like as soon as you say hi, I'll say hi back. And if they say their name, I'll say their name and say how you're doing. And I remember somebody was like, nobody asked me that. You know what I mean? So I stand
Oh,
out in her
wow.
head, and
Wow.
I I I like it, but that's not why I do it. But when I do it, I feel like I get more grace in their eyes of, I know he's busy today, but I'll try to squeeze you in. Or hold on, let me ask the
Yes.
doctor if I can fit you, if I can fit you in,
Yes.
you know.
Yes.
And I even had that done for my MRI, you know, it's like something happened and I needed an emergency MRI. And it's like, well, let me see what I can, you know, and it's like just being nice and talking to them and hearing what they have to say. Use their name if you can. Now, you know, I have a short-term memory, so it's like use it as soon as I hear it type thing. But that really makes a big difference of how they treat you. And I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying it's fair, but I do notice a difference in that.
Absolutely, Linda. And just when you were saying that, it reminded me so much of my mother because her doctor, she just loved her doctor and the nurses too, and they loved her. Anytime she called, they're like, "Oh, Eleanor." They recognized the voice. If there was something she needed, they went out of their way to make sure she had what she needed. And you don't find those types of doctors everywhere. And so to hear you say that, it's good to know that it's still happening. I mean, I was even just floored. I mean, I guess because my mother was in and out of the hospital so much that when she would go to the hospital, Eleanor, Eleanor, it's like she was a movie star. But it was just the fact that these people took the time to get to know her. But I know it had a lot to do with how she treated them.
Yeah.
It goes both ways, Linda. The gate swings both ways. We think that our doctors are quote unquote God, and they're human too. They have feelings. So you're snapping off on them. They've had a hard day. Let's treat people the way we want to be treated. So that's good that you say that because I think it has a lot to do with you, how you relate to them, which in turn, it shows how they relate to you.
Yeah. Especially if you're waiting in the waiting room for an hour behind your appointment time.
Yeah.
And you go in there and now you got an attitude when
Yeah.
he just wants to take the time with all his patients. And you don't know if he's tired, if he missed lunch to catch up and different things like that, and then you want you to, like them to take your time with you, but you just got done saying, I got tired of waiting or complaining that you waited an hour. It's funny how like we want one thing, but we don't want the total cost of that. Because if you're saying rush to hurry up and see me to stay on time, then he has to rush for you so he can do the same thing for the other patient. So I learned just to carry something with me to have that calmness or play a game on my phone or read a book to relax. Now I notice certain doctors actually call and say they're running late. They're running an hour late. And I love that. So then I have that option, I say, hey, is it okay if I come, 30 minutes later? And they'll say, yeah. They don't let me come an hour later just in case you catch up, but they'll let me come 30 minutes later, which is still not bad.
So you're not waiting around for them and they're not waiting around for you when you finally show up.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then I also want to talk about, when we were talking about doctors, what about dentists? One thing I do like about dentists or even orthodontists, when they work in your mouth, they always give you a sign to communicate with them. If it hurts or in pain, lift your hand up. Because you can't talk because they got the thing, lift your hand up. We don't even realize they're telling us how to communicate with them, how to talk to them. Do you know what I mean? Like what's going on? So
good. I love going to the dentist, except for when it's time for the x-rays. But I do enjoy going to the dentist because that's my least intimidating doctor to go see. Other doctors I'm not a big fan of, but the dentist, it doesn't bother me like some people. So the dentist is good.
I like going to the dentist, and I just switched dentists. But this one I like as well, but my other dentist I love because it's like the movie Cheers, when you walk in, everybody say your name. It's kind of like that at my own dentist, Linda,
Yes.
And it feels so good.
Yeah.
And one thing, this is so mean, but he was doing work in my mouth and we actually had an earthquake.
Really?
Yeah, we had an earthquake, and it was just when he was taking it out. So nothing happened. But okay, you know me, I like having fun, right? So
Yes.
when he was coming back in, I like so I was like teasing him, but yeah, like that. But it's just like the relationship you have, you know, I like having fun and like talking, like it's hard for me to say this, and this and not know them. So I know my doctor's family, you know what I mean? Like I know their kids' names and their ages.
Wow.
I never met them or anything like that. I saw pictures, but
Yeah.
it was easier for me to open up. That is not a one-sided thing. So I like that. And then it was easier for me to build a connection and keep that going. So when I see, especially my dentist, because it's like every 6 months, so, you know, how is, and then, you know, their child name, or, oh, they're in college now, or this is going
Yeah.
on, or, you know, so I like that. And it's important because we do have to remember they're human.
Absolutely, Linda. I think it all goes back to that. Just remember that we are people. We have needs, emotions, we have desires, we have disappointments, we have ups and downs like everybody. And just because your profession may be a certain profession doesn't necessarily mean you're not exempt from those things too. So you're right. That's good, Linda. That's good. So I think it's important to have a relationship with your doctor because it does affect your health. It does affect how you receive and how you give information, how you receive the information, how you give the information, if you have that open communication with your doctor. So to those of us out there, let's maintain, if you don't have one, let's find a good doctor, but let's also maintain a good relationship with the ones that we have. So what are your thoughts on that, Linda? I know you like what you heard. I did too, because here's the thing. It's really about building relationships wherever we go, whether that relationship is at home, school, on the job, and now here in the medical profession. A relationship that we have with others is important because this is what it's all about. It's about life's lessons. And it's about laughter. And Linda loves to laugh. It doesn't matter where she goes, she's going to laugh. She's going to have a good time. And I believe that should be our outlook on life everywhere we go, because how we look at things determines how we receive things. And it's about making relationships that last. So if you like what you heard, please be sure to hit the like button, subscribe to our channel. We want to get this message out to as many people as we can, because our message, like any other message that's out there, I believe is very important. So until next time, right, Linda?
Yes. I'll see you later. Bye.
Bye.